Howdy, howdy. It's AL-BINO here. It's been a rough month, y'all. Ever try to get a hold of something and then it just doesn't, it just kind of seems like it's going to slide through your fingers. Yeah. So, anyways, been reading the polls lately and they have me concerned. Matter of fact, they have me very angry. You women want equal rights. You want equal civil rights. You want to be treated with respect. You want to have a voice. When I went to war, one of the things, we went to war in Muslim countries, one of the things that I'm going to say now that I was propagandized with was fighting for equal rights for women, because those women were being abused over there and they weren't liberated and stuff like that. Now, in some of those countries, yes, they do take it to an extreme. But given what we're looking at today, given that the Democrats, all they had to do was put in a woman who claims to be of a certain demographic, but a woman. And now, all of a sudden, she's leading Donald Trump in the polls. You know what? I do not believe that women should have the right to vote. I do not believe that women should have the right to have a voice outside of the cover of their husband, their father, their brothers, or their grandfather, or their uncles. Do women have the right to live safely? Yes, they do. Do women have the right to voice an opinion in their home regards how their husband, keyword husband, father, uncle, or brother runs that family? Sure, they can have input. But this is the final straw for me. You all have been warned. And I think now this is why they want to skip over Generation X. I'm Generation X. I have watched this crap and listened to this crap all of my life. And everybody has been warned that Generation X is not to be fooled with. So, you women campaign on the fact that killing babies is a civil right. No, it's not. Deleting babies in the womb is not a civil right. It's murder. Because that involves snuffing out an innocent. Period. And science, real science, says that once that individual is conceived, they contain the same amount of genetic information that I do as a human being. That is murder. You want carte blanche to conduct murder. No, you should not have the right to vote for that. Period. You women think that you have, or that it's right to demand that somebody who produces something be it if they produce $20,000 by honest labor or $20 billion by honest labor, that they give half of what they earn to the government so that other people who either come into this country illegally or refuse to work can be taken care of because you feel sorry for them. But you use the excuse, well, what about the sick and the disabled? First of all, nobody has a problem with caring for sick or disabled people. Nobody. No man does in their right mind. So if that's what was honestly going on, then okay, yeah, we would do that. But see, you people, you women, want to force with the hand of daddy government that this be done. You do not have the right to vote for that. Period. End of story. We as men have the right to determine what we produce, what portion of it we would like to donate to those in need through charity, or through our church, or our mosque, or our synagogue, or our Shinto temple, or whatever community organization we so choose to be a member of. But you don't have a right to force anybody, man or woman, to do that. Period. You know what that's called? That's called theft. If I force somebody, and since it's the government and they have weapons, with a gun, with a weapon, to give me their money, I go to prison for a long time because it's theft. Pure and simple. I don't have the right to make that demand out of somebody else. You don't have the right to make that demand of somebody else either. Just because you use daddy government to do that. So no, you don't have the right to vote for that. Period. End of story. I spent 17 years wearing the United States military uniform in the United States Army. I went to war for 5 years. I had 6 overseas assignments or deployments. I've also worked at strategic offices. I was prematurely retired because of a drawdown by a Democrat named Barack Obama, because you women voted for him en masse, because you were tired of war. I'm sorry, a certain group of people bombed this country, killed 3,000 innocent people, and we went after the countries that were funding that. You women started propagating a lie that there were no weapons in a certain country, which I was there. I was part of the front line going in. I was sitting on the Syrian border a year later, watching them smuggle that stuff across the border. We were catching them every night, the weapons that you said that did not exist. So you lied because you women didn't feel like fighting, because that wasn't nice, because these countries posed an imminent threat to our safety in this country and the safety of other people around the world. You women feel that you have the right to force us to accept the debaucherous behavior of mentally ill human beings, of sexual perverts, of people who not normally should be having sex with other people or with members of the same gender as themselves, or wanting to mutilate their bodies, put that on public display in front of our children, and now you want to force us to accept when a child has a mental illness or just people coming in and corrupting their minds towards sexual perversion, because you feel that in order to stand up against this debauchery would hurt somebody's feelings. You feel that it's not nice. So you're going to force us through your vote to allow that stuff to pervade our society and corrupt the children in our families. You don't have a right to do that. You don't have a right to vote for that. So, because of all of this, since most of the people that are pushing for this are mentally ill leftists backed by women, predominantly women, you women don't have the right to vote. You should not have the right to vote. If this is what you Jezebels are going to support, if this is what you Jezebels are going to try to force down our throats through the power of government by your vote, then no, you should not have the right to make that decision and vote. Period. You women want to rebel against us men. Most men are not bad people. Most men simply want to go to work for their families, get married, provide for their children, provide for their wives, and protect their family. But lo and behold, if a woman decides that she's going to come up against her husband, or if she decides that she's just not going to be, that she doesn't want to participate in the family model anymore for whatever reason, that she's just going to do whatever she wants, cry wolf whenever she wants, and destroy a family and a man and children and everything else. And she's going to vote for people to force us to allow that to happen. If that's the case, women, no, you should not be allowed the right to vote. You should not be allowed a civic voice if this is your civic voice. Because that's the voice of Jezebel. Why is Jezebel so popular? Because Ahab was weak. Because Ahab acquiesced to her. Because Ahab was too nice. Fuck around and put these Democrats in power for another 4 years and destroy this country. And see what happens to you once these men finally get tired of it. Or if the men don't wake up or cannot gather their strength fast enough, what happens to you when the men from another country come in and take everything over and they don't care about your rights? And if that's the case, then guess what? The blood of millions of people are on your hands. The blood of millions of dead babies are already on your hands. Most of the women in this country will go to hell. Period. Have a problem with that? Go take that up with Vince Ellison. You vote Democrat, you're going to hell. Period. Because you stand for satanic things. Period. No two ways about it. Do not tell me you are a Christian, a Jew, or a Muslim and tell me you're voting Democrat, because you're going straight to hell. And all three of those religions prohibit that behavior. Period. End of story. Us men, particularly Generation X men, are tired of seeing this and watching this and being told to be quiet and being told to be nice. Keep pushing us and pushing us and pushing us and pushing us. Push us to a breaking point and see what happens. Because while you might be able to call the cops on your man or the man down the street, simply because he might raise his voice at you or tell you no, they can't arrest all of us. Matter of fact, if it's far enough, if it goes far enough down the toilet, they probably will stop arresting all of us. Because they'll wake up too. Go ahead and roar like a woman and see what happens. Because for 70 years, men have not roared. We stood back. We gave you grace. We were patient with you. We've tried to negotiate with you on the public scene, in our homes, in the public square, and you absolutely refuse to listen to any sense whatsoever or morality. You, sisters, have bought the story of the devil, just like Eve did. Eve is the cause of the fall of man, because she was acting outside of the cover of her husband Adam. And what did Adam do? He ate that sin and took on that death for her. And that's what men have been doing throughout the course of history. For you. But men don't love you. Men don't know what it is to love. Men don't know what it is to sacrifice. You know what Adam could have done? Adam could have rejected Eve right there on the spot. And that would have caused God to destroy Eve and create another helpmate for Adam. But no, he gave her grace. He ate the apple and took that sin on for her because he loved her. When are you going to get it through your thick heads that we don't have to tolerate this? If you want to get some sense, if you want to listen to your fathers, your uncles, your brothers, that's one thing. Okay, great. But you want to buck us and continue to destroy everything that we've tried to build, socially, spiritually, for you? And turn it over on us, against us? At what point do we tell you that that's enough? Or are you really trying to push us towards a violent reaction so that way you can stand there and say, we told you so? If this is what you're going to do with your rights, then no, you should not have them. Period. We should not be debating whether or not taking innocent human life before it's even born is a right thing to do or not. That should not be a topic of debate. Period. You dumbass women will sit there and tell us that you don't like war because the Bible tells us thou shalt not kill, but yet you'll run down to the abortion clinic and kill your baby and call it your civil right. If that's the case, then no, you should not have the right to make any decisions whatsoever outside of the cover of a husband, a brother, a father, or an uncle, or a grandfather. Period. Because you're not capable of it. And you're clearly demonstrating it. Oh yes, this is Gen X man going all in tonight. Let's tell you something else, you dumbass boomers. The next time you tell a Gen X person, oh, well, we don't want to hear it. Oh, we don't want to talk about it. And they're trying to tell the truth about something, you better watch out. Because you keep that up, guess what? None of your Gen X children will attend your funerals. None of them. They won't even make arrangements. They'll just turn to the goddamn county coroner and be like, whatever you do, go put them in a pauper's grave. Is that what you want? You've been doing that to us ever since we were children in the 60s and 70s because we were your throwaway kids. We were the accidents that you didn't want to inconvenience your life. And every time we try to stand up and say something or tell the truth about something, you shut us up. And you tell us we're wrong, we don't know what we're talking about. Let me tell you candy asses something. What you guys were protesting, most of you guys were protesting us fighting communists in Vietnam and thumbing your nose at this country and the ones who did stand up for the right thing, even though now we understand that that might have been a little bit suspect, but they even tried it and you spat on them when they came back, stepped off the airplane at the fucking airport and called them baby killers. For the rest of you, for most of that generation, eat shit. Because I'll tell you what, when it came Gen X's time to go to war, we didn't fucking hesitate. They didn't have to have a draft with us. You know why? Because we were man enough to understand what it was, and we went ahead and signed up and did our duty anyways. And you fucking candy asses stole fucking defeat right from the jaws of our goddamn victory. Fuck you, shut up. I don't have to be an expert or sit in front of a goddamn TV camera and read a teleprompter to understand what's right, what's wrong, what's real, and what's not. I have a brain between my two ears. And I was taught by my World War II generation grandparents and my silent generation aunts and uncles and teachers what that was. Apparently you missed the goddamn lesson when they tried to teach it to you. Angry Man said last night on his podcast, or he was joking last night on his podcast about this guy who came up with the term of NNA. N-word, I'll say ninja. Nucleic acid. Let me tell you something. Gen X men, doesn't matter what the color of our skin is, all of us have that in our genes. And our bullshit meters are just about fucking pegged. And we're being pushed to the point to where our NNA is about to be activated. Had a baby boomer tell me today, well, President Trump needs to shut up or he's going to blow the whole election. And I fired back at him. I was like, you know what? No, he doesn't. He's telling the truth. Well, he's not nice. Well, since you lived in a fucking fairy tale, candy-ass, fucking, they come on, baby, light my fire, Woodstock, roll in the mud, free love and sex, rock and roll, cocoon for all 70 plus years of your fucking life. Why don't you shut the fuck up? Oh, I did a year in a motor pool in Vietnam. Well, fuck you. I did 5 years in the Middle East, being shot at every fucking time. And I went outside the wire. So, fuck you. Dumbass. I've had enough. Most of us Gen Xers have had enough. Those Gen X men have been talking on the internet now for almost 10 years, pointing out these problems. We've been following talk radio for 40 years, taking notes. We're the ones who put George W. Bush in office. We're the ones who put Donald Trump in office the first time. In spite of you fucking dumbass boomers and millennials. We're the ones who sat and watched you steal the country from us in 2020. And we were told to sit down and shut up, even though we knew everything that was going on with the virus and everything else was a fucking scam to steal the country. And we understood everything that they were doing was a violation of everything that this country was founded on. Most of the people who are being held as political prisoners for January 6th are Gen X people. There's a couple boomers in there who have some sense too. And a few millennials who have some sense. But most of those people are Gen Xers. Why? Most of the Tea Party, back during the Obama administration, was Gen Xers. Why? Y'all better pop your heads out your asses real quick, because we may be a small generation, but we're starting to be a real pissed off generation, because we love this country and we know what is right and what is wrong. And if this is what women's rights are, then no. Maybe it's time for y'all to have a seat. I'm not advocating violence against women, but I'll tell you what, you abuse a privilege, or you abuse something, you abuse a right, even if it's God-given, it gets taken away. So you, 3, 4 generations, because Gen X women sometimes can be just as bad, of city girls need to think real hard on that. What's the problem with your men? We're tired of the bullshit. Pure and simple. You know what we want? We want peace and quiet. We want to be able to have families and raise them. We want to be able to live in a safe society where we're free to build the things that we need to build for our society and for our families. And we want to be able to defend that. That's what we want. That's what we've been telling you that we want, my generation, since the 1980s. Since we started becoming adults. And the people we listened to growing up weren't our idiot boomer parents who were so misinformed about things that they didn't know their ass from a hole in the ground. Oh yeah, they knew how to work. Yes, they did do that. But as far as society and politics and all that other stuff, we listened to James Dobson. We listened to the silent generation. We listened to the World War II generation. Paul Harvey. Malcolm X. Shall I go on? And then you goddamn boomers have the nerve to corrupt everything that those people have tried to do and say. And twist it and change it. Because you didn't have the moral fortitude and courage to deal with the truth that those people were spitting. Well, you missed a generation because Gen X wasn't at least Gen X men weren't brainwashed in that shit. Most of us weren't. And we want to be, and we are going to be, red-blooded men. But we will not let our women abuse us, our country, or our society. And if that's what they're hell-bent on doing, then maybe we need to take that decision power away from them for a little while. This is AL-BINO signing out on my rant. Y'all have a blessed night.